Hello, my name is Kara Collins. Today I'm going to be talking about the federal minimum wage. So let me start by introducing you to my 4 audience members. Today I have with me my boyfriend Greg, my beautiful mother Cynthia, my dog Colonel, my sister Danielle, and my handsome father Mark. Should minimum wage be increased to $15 an hour? According to recent research that I've conducted, here's why that's going to be a bad idea. Although there are many cons to raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, I'm going to just list a few for you. So there's going to be a major loss of jobs, housing and rent prices are going to increase, consumer good prices are just going to skyrocket, small businesses are going to be really hurt by this, and then large companies are going to start moving to other countries, and this is called outsourcing. Another thing I'm going to discuss today is the history of minimum wage to current day minimum wage. But let me start by giving you a simple definition of minimum wage, and that is the lowest wage permitted by law or a special agreement such as one with the labor union. I'm going to discuss a little bit of the history, and minimum wage dates back to 1917 during a simple court case called Stetler v. O'Hara. This court case challenged the constitutionality of minimum wage, and the outcome was a divided court. It was 4-4 overall. And basically it ended up with the minimum wage law staying the same in the city of Oregon, so nothing really happened. And then in 1938, the first minimum wage was set, and that was 25 cents an hour. And today it's $9.45 an hour, so that's a massive difference. And we've already had an increase in minimum wage within just a year. In 2018, it was $9.25, and this year, as I stated previously, it's $9.45. Another thing I'm going to be discussing is the politics associated with minimum wage. So today our current president is Donald Trump, and he is a Republican, and Democrats are the ones who are fighting for 15, which is fighting for the $15 an hour minimum wage. And he recently proposed a new idea that's actually a better solution than just raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and that is where families can deduct child care expenses on their income taxes. So to be eligible to do this, you have to hold a job and make an income. Therefore, this alternative is a pro-work solution because it's getting people motivated to have a job and start working so they can earn this. So for example, a single parent with 2 children would, within earning an earned income tax credit, will get about $5,500 extra a year, so that's about a third of their income already. That's going to be really helpful to them, so it's already a better alternative. And then another thing I did research was an economist survey, and that survey stated that 71% of the majority of the surveyed economists believe that the earned income tax credit is better than $15 an hour minimum wage, while only 5% of the economists believe that the minimum wage getting raised to $15 an hour would be better. That's 71 to 5%. It's there in the numbers. These are professionals telling us this, so we already know that this is a better option. So one of the cons that I stated previously was that unemployment was going to go up, and that is true. There are many studies out there to prove this. 60% of small businesses actually have already admitted that raising the minimum wage would hurt their companies. The Congressional Budget Office told us that just raising the minimum wage just to $10 an hour, not even 15, there would be a 500,000 job loss there, just alone, just from that, to $10, which is a lot no matter where it's happening around the world. Another thing that companies will do is avoid hiring by using robots. Robots today can perform many simple tasks, so I can only imagine what they could do in a workplace. Another thing is Forbes, which is an American business magazine, and in one of their recent articles, they stated that there have already been several Walmart closures around the world from just increased minimum wage. It's only a domino effect as we increase the minimum wage. And Walmart is one of the largest corporations around the world who employ thousands and thousands of people. So if these are closing, that's a big sign and a big red flag. Another thing I found out was that the vice president of White Castle, his name is Jamie Richardson, openly admitted that if the minimum wage was increased by this much, he was going to have to be forced to close half of their stores and lay off thousands of workers. This is tons of jobs gone on top of other things, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. Another con is that consumer good prices and housing and rent is going to go up dramatically. So I found a couple studies from Purdue University and the University of California. Purdue study specifically states that if a $15 an hour minimum wage were to occur, there would be at least a 4 to 25% price increase in all consumer goods, doesn't matter what it is, or if there's no price increase, there would be a dramatic product size decrease by 12 to 70%. Could you imagine walking into a fast food restaurant and ordering a hamburger that's 70% smaller than it used to be previously? Basically, you're paying more to get less. Who wants to pay more for less? I certainly don't. The other study I found was from the University of California, and researchers found out that it would be approximately $200 more a month for rent alone if minimum wage was increased. So if you have an $800 apartment, you're paying $1,000 for that every single month. And then overall, really, businesses just can't afford to pay their workers this minimum wage, so they're going to have to lay off people, or their hiring process is going to be much more strict. Unemployment is just going down overall. Another example I discovered during my research was that a single mother who's making minimum wage every month would be $200 a month worse off than she would be on Donald Trump's solution, or just on our minimum wage currently today. And because her income is rising, but she's going to be paying more in taxes overall, such as payroll taxes and state income taxes. She'll be losing food stamps and child care subsidies benefits. So let's say it's $200 more a month, but she's also $200 worse off because she's making more money and has to pay more taxes. That's $400 less than she had before. So she's much more worse off. The next thing I'm going to talk about is outsourcing. This is another con of raising the minimum wage. This is where companies move their locations to another country to save money because it's cheaper for them. Labor there in this other country is going to cost them less than it will here. And if they move, that's more jobs lost. So it ties back into the unemployment rates. The Statistic Brain Research Institute discovered that in 2015, 2 million jobs alone were actually lost to other countries because of outsourcing. And then 44% of companies admitted to doing this openly so they could reduce and control their costs. AKA, they wanted to pay their employees much less than they have to in this country versus another country. So I would say that in conclusion, minimum skills is going to equal a minimum pay. Fast food workers, retail workers should not be making $15 an hour. We already have another solution to this. President Donald Trump today has told us about that, something to consider. There's tons of history to the minimum wage dating back to 1917. The first minimum wage was introduced in 1938, 25 cents, and today it's $9.45. Unemployment is going to skyrocket if we increase our minimum wage, and then consumer prices are going to drastically increase. Doesn't matter what you're getting, you're going to either have to pay more, or product size is going to decrease drastically. Instead of getting a big fat hamburger, you're going to get a little slider, but you're going to be paying more for it. Housing and rent also going to increase, and then companies are going to start moving to other states, which is tying back to unemployment, and our economy overall is just going to be negatively impacted by this. So we should not be raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Thank you for listening.